Look out for the rubber band.
Yeah, I saw you shoot that out. Morning, friends.
You don't miss anything, do you?
No, if I keep scooting this way, don't keep following me. I'm getting
What's that? Well, come this way, man. I took a shower.
I want to be able to reach my coffee.
Priorities, nice.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? So somebody said it. There's a lot of energy in this room. So sometimes I get the more energy there is, the more nervous I get because this is the room where you get heckled. So please be gentle.
I see you drove the cruiser today.
Yes, I did.
Okay, series of questions. Ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready.
Cop tires.
Cop tires.
Cop brakes.
Cop brakes.
Cop suspension.
Cop suspension.
Does the cigarette lighter work?
I can't remember that one.
Okay.
I had my phone plugged into the cigarette lighter.
Nice.
Or my Bluetooth.
Yeah, hands-free. Thanks for coming back.
Happy to be here.
Last time you were here, and we are going to, by the way, it's not just going to be fun and games. We're going to talk about some pretty serious stuff a little bit later. But just to set things up a little bit, last time you were here, you were talking about your vision for the police department and where you wanted to take things. Where are we on that?
So, the vision that I communicated to the organization, when I was first appointed in early 2011, I was an internal candidate. So I had the benefit of working through some of the challenges that we have as an organization, but really enjoying some of the amazing benefits that we have in the Pleasanton community. So I spent quite a bit of time developing my mission or my vision for the organization and communicated that to the leadership team and to the rest of the members of the organization. So you've heard me talk about things like working together, pride and professionalism, service, remembering our commitment of service to the community, and what I shared with you last time we were together is our succession. That weighs very heavily on my shoulders. Our plan for the future, our ability to smoothly transition when some people get ready to go and other people are ready for whatever's next. Not that I'm ready to go, but someday I may be ready.
Well, I mean, demographically, the baby boomers that are getting closer to that retirement age. And I know that you're not old enough to be a baby boomer, but
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So those we have to be ready for that transition. So that's what I shared with you in terms of my vision and what we've been spending some time on is our strategic planning for the organization. So I have a large group of members of the organization, including volunteers and other members from across the larger city organization who really came together to develop a strategic plan for the organization. Of course, I was a part of this. But the strategic plan is really formalized around 6 broad-based strategic initiatives. So I brought a few of these. They're on the table over there. And you'll see this is a good kind of broad representation of what we're working on as an organization. And the 6 strategic initiatives are centered on things like communication, internal communication, and communication with the community. Things like organizational excellence, increasing community safety, embracing technology, infrastructure and equipment, things like that. So I'm really excited about what my staff has kind of gotten their arms around and the strategic initiatives and all of the specific objectives within that to keep us moving forward in pursuit of that vision.
That's a perfect segue to what I want to spend most of our time talking about. You do strategic planning not when times are bad, but when times are good and you want to keep the good times going. As you can tell from this room and if you look at real estate in this town, Pleasanton is doing well these days. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think the job that you and your team do has a lot to do with that. Our schools have a lot to do with that as well. And in preparing for this interview, I thought, okay, what can we talk about? Can we talk about how to get out of a parking ticket, which maybe we'll get to later.
That would have been a short interview.
Speeding ticket, sorry. But, we can't take the success of this community for granted. And when you think about schools in particular, you've got parents that are very engaged and very interested in the success of their students, which then leads to the success of the entire campus, that's community, blah, blah, blah. We've had some tragedies in this country over the last few years and just in the last few months as well. What are you doing? What can you do? How can we help to ensure that our schools stay safe?
So that's a great question, and this community is very concerned about its safety. When we look at our security infrastructure at schools, we take that very seriously. One of the things that I'm sure some of you have heard me talk about at times is the amazing partnership that the city of Pleasanton, specifically the Pleasanton Police Department, has with the Pleasanton Unified School District. And it's an amazing partnership. I mean, we've got staff in their staff meetings, they've got staff in our staff meetings, our council and the school board have joint liaison meetings. So the communication is really strong, really rock solid, and it's an amazing partnership. I have 4 full-time staff members that work exclusively in the school district. All of our patrol staff, traffic staff, we're all committed to the safety of all of the school sites and continuing not only to create a safe environment for the kids, but to also help the district with their own security infrastructure. So when these tragedies occur that you reference, that's always unfortunately, tragically, terribly, it's always an opportunity for us to kind of take a look at what has happened and apply some preventative measures in our own community. The Pleasanton School District is amazingly prepared. We have what we call, each school site has site safety councils, and there's a master plan with the school district. My staff participate in the review and the development of all of those site safety plans. There's a lot of parents that are involved in that, school administrators, faculty from each site. So that review and our participation in that kind of helps us really in terms of preparing for or working to avoid those tragic incidents that have happened. If you recall, after the Sandy Hook tragedy back east, we actually did a community forum. Parveen Ahmadi, our superintendent, and I co-hosted a school safety forum at Hart Middle School. A lot of parents, a lot of staff turned out to kind of hear what our conversations were about things like that. But essentially, what our position is we continuously work to create safe sites without necessarily fortifying them, so our kids are in a feeling like they're in some kind of prison or something like that. So it's really a fine balance.
No metal detectors as kids are going to school.
No metal detectors. No, but some of what is really important is it's on our own shoulders. So, for example, when we go to a school site to pick up our kids or drop something off or volunteer in the classroom, we have to remember all of those things that are in place at the school is for the safety of the larger population. Sign in when you go into the office and all of those things that after a while gets to be kind of a pain in the neck, so we just go the back way into the classroom because we volunteer there every week. And it's really important that the processes and the structures that are in place at each school site are really important.
So in a post-Sandy Hook world, what has changed in Pleasanton? What's visible? What's invisible?
So what's invisible, one of the things that we had talked about, and the superintendent and her staff and I have talked about is, you can create a prevention measure for every scenario that has ever occurred. But as soon as you create that 1,014th measure, then somebody can defeat the security by doing something different, something crazy. So it's really vigilance, it's really maintaining the integrity of what we have in place. So some of the things that are invisible, the school district has their own procedures and what their staff does and things like that, how they communicate that they don't really want out there. Our contributions to the site safety plans are public, but we do have a standard structured intruder drill protocol that my staff is involved with at the schools. What we do at one site, we do at every site. So a substitute teacher or a site administrator that has gone from one site to another knows exactly how we do things. My staff, which might respond to an incident, knows exactly how an intruder drill is going to be handled from a protocol perspective if something were to happen. One of the things that we are lucky about here in Pleasanton is we have the ability to practice those things, and we have activated several intruder drills in this community. Fortunately, not for those huge, terrible, tragic incidents, but if we have a critical incident or a law enforcement call for service near a school site, and we don't know exactly how that's going to expand into the community, the school district will put that site on lockdown, and it allows us to know that is not going to be a danger for us as we continue to manage the perimeter of the critical incident. And it just really comes down to communication between my staff and the site administrator for how that will emerge as the incident continues to evolve.
Speaking of communication, you have a marketing department here. you've got a group of folk that are just waiting to get a quip or a little one-liner that they can put on Facebook. If there was, one thing that these folk could share with their clients about how to keep their kids safe in school or how to keep schools safe. You mentioned already if you're going to go visit, check in. What's the one thing that they could share with their clients about keeping schools safe?
See something, say something. If there's something, you all know what's normal at your school when you're dropping your kids off. You know what's normal in your neighborhoods. If there's something that doesn't look right, we need to know about it. So if you see something unusual, share it with us, call us, let us know. And sometimes we hear from people, well, I don't want to bother the dispatch with that. It was a suspicious package, or the guy didn't look right, but I don't want to be judgmental or whatever. So let us deal with that. Let us worry about that. If you see something that's abnormal, something that's not right, something that doesn't seem to fit into your neighborhood, your school site, let us know. See something, say something.
And to follow up on that, and that's brilliantly genius and simple, easy thing to do.
Thank you.
Must be a David Charles thing. So what's the best way to communicate with the PD? I mean, we talk about 911, or is there another way to what's the fastest, most effective way to
So you know when to call 911 versus when to call a business line. We only have so many 911 lines, so we need to keep those open for a traffic accident, whatever might happen. So a lot of people don't know this, but you only get one 911 line for every 10,000 people you have in your community. So we have 6, we're about to get our 7th, but those fill up really fast when there's a big crash at Stone Ridge and Hop Yard. All those lines fill up quick, so we need to clear those lines. So if you're calling with something that's routine, call the business line at 931-5100.
931-50.
100.
931-5100. 931-5100.
Feel free to program that into your phone if you'd like. Dispatchers are standing by. So, and then also,
Nice.
if it's an emergency, call 911 and get us that information. One of the things, I'll just say this because people get really frustrated, and we have the Citizens Academy, and I'm always amazed to see how people react to this, but when we listen to tapes of people calling, there's a prowler in my backyard, somebody's trying to break into my rear sliding door, whatever, so the dispatcher starts telling you what to do, starts asking you questions, and people are like, what? Just get somebody out here. Well, we've dispatched that as soon as the call came in. As soon as the call comes in, we have the automated location information, the number information, all of that information. We start the police officers as soon as we verify where that is. We start to get all the questions answered so we can arm those officers with as much info as possible. So call us if you have information to share. That's what helps us. That's how we catch bad guys, people that are willing to call and tell us what's a little unusual in their neighborhood.
Diligence and vigilance.
Hey, that was brilliant and
mispronounced. The genie's out of the bottle in terms of these hard-hitting questions, so I want to dig a little deeper, and this is an uncomfortable subject. When you think about you have to dig to find some bad things about this town, or some things that people might say, wow, I can't believe that happened in Pleasanton. And I want to talk about prevention and what the community can do, and it's kid-related. I think about the two most visible bad news things. We had the cyclist from Dublin who was killed on Foothill, and then we had the gentleman that was beaten into a coma by a group of kids. And unfortunately, people are always looking for some kind of bad news, and we did have a couple bad news incidents here in Pleasanton. What can we do to prevent these things from happening?
Well, in terms of prevention, it all comes down to the relationships that the police department has with the community, and there's a lot of different, facets of the community, from the school district to our religious institutions to our business community. There's a lot of different sects within the community, and we work really hard to maintain those partnerships. The stronger the partnerships, the more willing people are to call and give us information, or to leak us information, or to tip on information. So, we are lucky to have a very willing community. A willing community is the community that calls in and says, hey, that thing that you just put out in that press release, well, I think I know who that guy is, check such and such. Check the corner of walk and don't walk, I think his car's parked there. That's the information that we need, and we get that through partnerships, we get that through trust. So, the partnership between the police and the community is really important. You gave a couple of examples about some tragedies that occurred in this town, and you know, it's always really difficult for me because I run an organization of transparency, but unfortunately, in a law enforcement organization, we can't always be fully transparent. You know, there's some details and investigations that we have to maintain, privileged, and you know, there's privacy rights to the victim and things like that. But you know, what the media reports is not necessarily always what is accurate. Now, that's another amazing partnership that we have with the communities, the media. You know, how we're able to get our word out is hugely successful because of the partners we have. I think Jeb Bing.
Yeah, Jeb's here somewhere. Yeah.
So that's why I'm giving the clean version of my speech, because Jeb's here with that. But you know, even the media helps us really get that word out. The media helps us help other victims by getting cases cleared and getting information out there in the community. But you know, sometimes if it's a blog or whatever, you know, some people start to spin some things. So you know, there will be a press release coming out today on the Middleton Court assault that you referenced, and that case has been submitted to the district attorney. We've been working very closely with the family, and you know, that case is coming to closure with the submittal to the DA. So you can probably check that this afternoon. And yeah, but you know, it's Pleasanton is an amazing place, but sometimes bad things happen in amazing places, and that's why we work hard to do the job that we do and to keep this community as safe as we can.
I got one more question before we open things up. Stone Ridge Drive was completed, and recently the traffic department, I think they bumped up the speed limit a bit. From a police perspective and a community safety perspective, has the world ended now that Stone Ridge Drive is completed, or what's happened now?
Actually, the world is continuing to go on.
We need a quote. Did Jeb hear
that? Don't quote that,
Jeb.
Jeb. Don't quote that. So we opened the Stone Ridge Drive extension opened to connect with Livermore in the fall of last year. And I assigned my staff, traffic staff and patrol staff, to not aggressively enforce it, but to be very present. You know, I think our presence out there for the cut through people and the speeding people and the people who are late to get to the outlets or vice versa, coming from Livermore to head to our mall. You know, we wanted to show a strong presence out there when we opened that connector to Livermore. We have had, since the roadway opened, we've had 41 traffic-related contacts out there. Not super unusual given the focus that I've asked my staff to pay attention to out there. You know, it's it's controversial for people that live in that neighborhood, but it's it's a growing region, and the traffic patterns need to reflect the needs of the community population and people that want to get from here to there. So we're monitoring it. We continue to pay a high level of attention out there, and we're enforcing traffic laws, so do not speed there, because here's your tip of the day: we're watching you out there.
I could easily spend another 3 hours asking both hardball and softball questions. You've been kind enough to come out today. Hopefully we can have you back later.
David, did you watch the last city council meeting on the 4th?
Was that the one with the Bernal Park
Yes,
stuff?
it was.
I did not.
What do you do on Tuesday nights? See, I'm turning the tables on you. So I want to just offer this to all of you. You're going to go out there and you're going to sell houses in Pleasanton this weekend, and I want to share this with you if you haven't caught it. The city hired a consultant to do a community satisfaction survey. We haven't done a community satisfaction survey since 2007. In 2007, 2008, that's when we really realized a lot of the economic impacts that we as department heads in the city tried to manage without the community really realizing the impact. So the community, or the city of Pleasanton, did a community satisfaction survey to kind of overlay the results from 2013 to what we realized when we last did our survey in 2007. I would, if you think it'd be beneficial to you, I would check out the city website, look at the council report from February 4th. It's amazing how significantly satisfied community residents of Pleasanton are in terms of their city services, their level of safety in the community, excellent place to raise children. Some of the information there I think might be really informative for you, and candidly, as a proud department head in the city of Pleasanton and the police chief. You know, it's really nice to see that kind of representation of the services that, you know, I really struggle to get my staff to go out and do better tomorrow than they did today, and do better next year than we did this year. So it's good information. I highly recommend you check it out.
Cool. Do we have time for questions?
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, you're up.
You didn't tell me we were going to do Q&A.
And I apologize, this one may put you on the spot a little bit. I'm the token attorney of the group, so I just finished my continuing education, and the issue of medicinal marijuana has really screwed up my leasing practice, at least residential. And my question is really from the, and maybe you can't answer this, but from the Pleasanton Police Department's view or policy. You support medicinal marijuana? Is it different cultivation versus, you know, possession of it? And of course, what do you think about the Colorado and Washington model that seems to be what's coming in California soon enough, I think?
Yeah, it's high time we dealt with this.
High time? You are a funny man, David Charles.
What's on everything?
Yeah. So I'm going to remain apolitical on this. This is a difficult one, and I understand the issues around, you know, medicinal marijuana and things like that, but, you know, I can't use my office to communicate my personal perspective on that. But, you know, one of the things when you consider the community impact of legalization or whatever, there are always ancillary impacts that people don't always anticipate. Things that we have seen in and around legal marijuana grows or you know, medicinal marijuana dispensaries and things like that. So I get concerned about, you know, what happens in and around the area of a dispensary, or, you know, if it becomes legalized, what are those other impacts? But I keep my eye on it. My colleagues in the California Police Chiefs Association and the Alameda County Police Chiefs Association, we keep our eye on it, and as a group, as an association, you know, the association will take a position, but I can't really speak about it. It's because Joe will quote me.
DW, yep. Outside voice, stand up.
Yesterday on the radio, I heard a story about one of the Bay Area communities that has a set procedure for calling in erratic drivers. They are actually taking information, someone's calling in their cell phone or whatever when they're stopped, of course. And they're actually, you know, sometimes we're not good to these people. You know, we get 4 or 5 complaints about your driving and knocking on their door. Is there anything like this you guys set up in town?
Question is a call-in system for erratic drivers.
So we don't really have a formalized system, but, you know, we have a lot of, we get a lot of calls like that. People who are suspected of driving under the influence, people who are driving recklessly and endangering other people, people who are just flagrantly speeding. So we have a lot of incidents like that that are reported. Fortunately, our activity level and our ability to respond to calls for service like that, we have typically, not always, but typically we have the time to follow up on those types of things, and we will. In terms of, you know, prosecuting a misdemeanor that did not occur in our presence, that's difficult, but we do have the ability to, you know, improve some quality of life by following up and working on cases like that. And if it's a repeat offender, then there are things that we can do, strategies that we've employed, but it's not a formalized program.
We got time for one more. Vicki?
First of all, I'd like to thank all the police officers that do help us. I belong to something called the 100 Club. You pay $1,000, you're in it for life. It is a wonderful organization. It supports all the police officers, the fallen ones. It's always giving money to these people. I would suggest everybody opening up your wallet and giving $1,000 to support the police department, because you don't know all what they do behind the scenes for us. Thank you.
The 100 Club is an amazing organization that was formed. I think the outgoing chair is the former district attorney, Tom Orloff. The 100 Club, some of you, and many of you are probably members, but it's an amazing organization that supports the survivors of fallen police officers. Educational funding for the children of fallen police officers, monetary assistance for the surviving spouse and things like that. It's not about the police officer, it's about the survivors that are left behind in the wake of a tragedy. And it's an amazing organization that does a lot of really, really good things. And you hear some stories about these young men and women who were put through college because of this foundation after their fathers or mothers were killed decades ago. And the 100 Club never forgets forgets any of those survivors. It's an amazing organization. Thanks for being
I've got a question for the audience. Is this valuable, having this guy here? Okay. We're gonna have you back. Okay.
Okay, we'll see. Hey, can I mention one more amazing organization?
Yeah.
If you're not doing anything on March 7th, go to the Sandra J. Wing Raging Cajun event. I am not supposed to do this. I am not supposed to do this, but this is an amazing organization that does some amazing things for people who are going through terrible things in their life. And as the husband of a cancer survivor, the healing therapies that Sandra J. Wing and her foundation provide to people is an amazing thing in terms of helping people heal. They're having the Raging Cajun fundraiser event on March 7th. Please go to that event. It's an amazing way to support. There's flyers on the back table.
And on that, your Pleasanton Police Chief, David Charles Spiller, thank you so much.
Nice to see you, Chief. Thanks for coming. Hope we can have you back again. Oh, can I get your autograph? I've got a fix-it ticket here.